Okay, I had several requests today for science homework help, and I'm super excited that you let me know that you needed some science help. So let's look. Our first side is the side that shows a can, a copper ring, a steel key, an iron nail, and a silver spoon. This is from the very beginning of the year when we were classifying matter based on different things. So, like properties of matter, mass, magnetism, physical state, relative density, solubility, insulators, conductors, those things. So, let's see what it says on number 1. Which property of matter can be used to classify the following objects into more than one group? So, they're saying they want to split the group. So, let's look at our answer options. A says physical state. Well, all of these are solids. So physical state would be solid, liquid, or gas. So it can't be A. B says solubility. So remember, solubility is the ability to dissolve when placed into a liquid, specifically water. And none of these things are going to dissolve. So it's not going to be that. Okay, so let's look at C and D. One of these is the answer, and one of these is our distractor answer. So it's asking us to put them into two groups, or at least two groups, more than one group. I guess there could be three groups. D says electrical conductivity. Well, all of these items would conduct electrical energy. An aluminum can is going to let the energy flow through. Copper ring is going to let the energy flow through. So are the others, the steel key, the iron nail. You've done almost all of these except for that copper ring. We tested in class together. That's not going to let us split into multiple groups. But we do know that not all of these are magnetic, and some of them are. So we will be able to classify them by magnetism, some that are magnetic and some that are not. Number 2, a team of science students tested properties for 4 different materials and recorded their results below. Based on the data, which material would insulate electrical wires? So which one would keep the energy in? Insulating is going to be the opposite of conduction. Okay, so we don't need to know about conducting heat. The flexibility, that's going to actually help because we're talking about wires. Wires often need to bend. So let's see. If it conducts electrical energy, that's not going to insulate it well. So I know it cannot be A because it said it could conduct the electrical energy, and so does C. So we don't need these. We want it to keep it in. We want it to insulate it. Okay. So now I have to choose between material B and material D. So I'm going to come over here and get rid of A. A and what did we say? C, not D. Okay, get rid of those. Sorry. So I can see B does not conduct electrical energy, and either does D. So now I need to look between B and D. Both of them would insulate, but it says insulate electrical wires. So we want it to be flexible. So it's going to be B. Does that mean that D wouldn't be a good insulator? No, but that's not what it's asking for. It's asking which one's going to insulate the wires the best. So we're going to stick with B. Okay. Next, a student needs to remove a metal spoon from a pan of boiling water. What should she do? Okay, we have talked about this. What's going to happen if the boiling water is in a pan on the heat and we stick a metal spoon in there and we walk off and forget it? What's going to happen to it? It's going to get hot. Okay. I can see every answer option here has the word thermal. That's our heat energy. An insulator allows the energy to flow through. A conductor I said that totally backwards. An insulator does not allow the energy to flow through. It keeps it in. A conductor allows it to flow through. Don't let me confuse you by mistaking my words. An insulator keeps the energy in. A conductor lets it flow through. So the metal, let's look at each answer option. Metal is a thermal insulator. Okay, is it an insulator? Does the metal keep the thermal energy in? No. Metal is a thermal conductor. Okay, maybe. We'll read the rest of the answer option in a minute. Metal is a thermal insulator. Is that true? No. It does not keep the energy in. The metal allows the heat to flow through. That's why the spoon gets hot. Okay, metal is a thermal conductor. Okay, so now let's look between B and D. B says it's a conductor, so she should wear protective gloves before taking the spoon out, like maybe an oven mitt, right? Or D says metal is a thermal conductor, so she should not use protective gloves to remove the spoon. Would that be very smart if we know that spoon is so hot and we do not put on gloves or an oven mitt? No. B is going to be our correct answer here. Number 4. A team of science students observed properties of objects and recorded their observations in the table below. The objects are a plastic bead, a metal block, a rubber eraser, and a marble. Which property of matter can be used to separate these objects into 2 different groups? Okay, so we want 2 different groups, right? And let's look at our observations. Green, silver, blue, clear. Well, that's 4 different colors. Excuse me. Okay, color is not a thing on here. So let's move to the next one. Floats in water. What is floating in water? Floating in water. All right. So we have what? More dense and less dense. Okay, if it floats on the water, it's going to be less dense, so the bead floats. All right. Let's see, a metal block sinks in water. That's going to be more dense, so metal block. Okay, a rubber eraser floats in water, so that's going to be less dense. So we're going to have an eraser. Okay, and then a marble sinks in water, so that makes it more dense. So which of these answer options could that be? Maybe relative density, right? Let's look at the last thing in each column here. I see non-magnetic, 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 and non-magnetic. Magnetism would not allow us to separate these into 2 different groups. Physical state is not either because all of these are solids. And solubility is the ability to dissolve when made contact with a liquid, specifically water in our instance. So none of these are going to dissolve in water. B is our answer. Relative density is whether it will sink or float, more dense or less dense. Okay. Moving to the back. Okay, this is 5.5b. This is mixtures and solutions, which you guys are good at, but let's just make sure we remember everything because we learned this at the very beginning of the year. Number 1, a lab team made a mixture of iron filings and sand. So you have done this before. Remember, we had them in the Ziploc baggies and we used a tool to help you separate the mixture. What did we do? What did we use to get the iron filings out of the sand? We didn't use a sieve because those iron filings are so small that we do not really want our hands to come in contact with them, and they would really just go through the sieve. A paper filter would catch them. This is a maybe. A magnet, a maybe. Boiling water, that's going to do nothing because neither of these are soluble. Okay? But a paper filter, it's going to catch everything though, because the sand is not going to go through the paper filter, either are the iron filings. So it's a magnet because the iron filings are magnetic. Okay, number 2, a student made fruit salad. Unfortunately, his sister doesn't like grapes. Which property of the fruit makes the mixture easy to separate? A, the fruit all float in water. B, the fruits are all solids. C, the fruits are all soluble in water. And D, the fruits all have equal mass. Okay, I know immediately I can get rid of C. These are not soluble in water. If I put them in water, they are not going to dissolve. Okay, they are all solids. Remember, we have said over and over and over again on these questions, don't assume. Do we know that all the fruits are going to float in the water? No. Okay. All the fruit have equal mass. All the fruit take up the same amount of space. Maybe if you've specifically cut them into certain sizes, but that would again be assuming that we know what their mass is, and we don't. But we do know that they are all solids, which does make this mixture easy to separate because she could easily pick out the grapes. Okay. What happened? Sorry, guys. Okay. Number 3. Which of the mixtures can be separated most easily by using a strainer? So here's a picture of a strainer. Okay, so think about which one we could separate the easiest using this tool. Marbles and plastic cubes. If we poured those in here, would they separate the mixture for us? No, literally all of the marbles and plastic cubes would stay inside that strainer. Dish soap and water. Could we easily separate those? No, it becomes a solution at that point, right? So it's not going to be B because the strainer's not going to help them separate. Salt and pepper. If you poured this mixture into the strainer, would you be able to separate it easily? No, salt and pepper are really similar sizes. You really might need like tweezers for that. Pebbles and sand is going to be our answer because the sand would flow through these little holes and all the pebbles would stay inside the strainer. Okay, last one for this week. A teacher made lemonade for a class party. He stirred lemon juice and sugar into water. Which property of sugar remained the same when it was dissolved in the lemonade solution? We've actually seen a question very similar to this. I think it was on the second 9 weeks district assessment, and it was like the orange juice mixture, like the Kool-Aid, orange Kool-Aid mixture. This one's just talking about lemonade. So which property of the sugar remained the same? Did the texture of the sugar remain the same? No, it's soluble. It dissolved into the solution, so it was no longer those little crystals. The taste, maybe sugar tastes sweet, lemonade tastes sweet. When the sugar dissolved into the lemonade, it made the solution sweeter. The color, did the sugar stay white? No, it dissolved. And none of the above. Sometimes that's an answer, but not today. The taste stayed the same. If there are any of these topics that you do not understand or you want more help on, please let me know because these are really common, really important standards for us to understand. and they're going to benefit you next year as well in 6th grade science. Bye.